Thank you very much, Shri Deepak Gupta ji. I think he pioneered solar in India. I remember some of the early discussions with him in 2008 and 2009. I truly believe, we are progressing in solar today because of the great effort he put in while he was the Secretary MNRE. So it's great to be sitting next to Deepak Gupta ji. A warm welcome to the members of the dais and all of our participants. I truly believe that this is an exciting time to be in the renewable business. The title of the panel discussion was around 2030, and if you look at how renewables have progressed over the last 5-10 years, and specifically we look at solar, I believe that by 2030 renewables will be on a platform where they can truly fulfill a significant portion of India's energy needs. I think there are a number of trends that are clearly visible as we sit here in 2014. First, and I think foremost of importance, is the fact that I believe the world will have to come back and certainly address and deal with the climate change issue. The climate change agenda went off the table, I think, with the global financial crisis. But, I believe it will come back on the agenda. It is a challenge we need to deal with. And I believe renewables can form a possible solution to deal with climate change and a cost-effective solution to deal with climate change. Specifically, if we look towards India, I believe that solar is an ideal means of meeting India's energy requirements. And if we look forward over a 10-15-year period, I believe the cost of renewables will come down. I think there were two big challenges to renewables that India faces and the world faces. The first is the high cost of renewables. The second is obviously the fact that they are relatively, the predictability factor. The sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow. You can't say we're going to turn the lights off. If you look at the next 10 or 15 years, if you look at how the cost of solar has evolved, I think over the last 5 years, the cost of solar has come down on average by about 10% per annum. If we run this and say over the next 15 years, the cost of solar comes down by 3 to 4% per annum, which I believe is reasonably feasible. The cost of solar power in 2030 would be about half of where it is today. And if you look at tariffs today in the 6 to 7 rupee range, we're talking about a tariff of 3 to 4 rupees. If we contrast this, and if I run an escalating factor on the cost of coal, the cost of coal, 15 years from today, the cost of coal generation could be as high as 7, 8, 9 rupees. So cost of solar, will certainly go well below the cost of coal as we look forward, if you look at a 10 or 15-year horizon. Lastly, I think, when we look towards storage technology has evolved significantly. So if we have to look at renewables as being the mainstay of our generation, 15 years from today, certainly storage needs to be addressed. And storage today can add anywhere between 30 to 50%. Coupled with the fact that I believe interest rates in India will be in downward trend over the next 3 years, I don't think we can sustain the current level of interest rates that we have today. And the focus the government has around inflation should drive this. A lower interest rate cycle, a 3% reduction in interest rates, would save around 60 to 65 paisa incrementally from tariff. So if you add these three together, we're at 1.5 to 2 rupees with very limited action from our side can today be taken out of tariff, which means tariffs which are in the 6 to 7 rupee range could come down into the 4.5 to 5 rupee range. And that puts solar in a grid competitive, that I believe makes solar today grid competitive, or would make solar grid competitive within 3 years. And that's always been the holy grail of solar. I have certain views which are divergent to what Secretary Tripathi said, and I believe the right solution for India is not to build out large-scale solar parks. I believe the right solution for India is to build out 50 to 100 megawatt sized solar farms, and 50 to 100 megawatt I believe is the scale point at which, is the size point at which there is limited economies of scale beyond that. So if you build a 500 megawatt farm, I don't think you'd be able to reduce capital costs very significantly compared to 50 to 100 megawatts. I also don't believe in the short to medium term, rooftop is our ideal solution, because capital costs in rooftop today come in about 30% higher than the capital cost of building a 50 to 100 megawatt farm. So the right solution, I think, for us is to build out 50, 100 megawatt farms spread across the length and breadth of the country. And this also puts reduced stress on the need to build transmission. Because of the low plant load factor of solar, if I was to build a gigawatt or 2 gigawatt size plant, and I was to try to transmit that energy over a long distance to a consumption center, we would add anywhere between ₹1.50 to ₹2 to tariff, because the plant load factor of solar only operates at 20%. So you have a transmission line that's being built out, which is carrying far fewer units of energy. I think it's important for us today. I think there was a solar purchase obligation that was put in place, and that was set in 11-12 at 0.25%, going up to 3% by 21-22. I believe that if we need to set this trajectory now. I think we've set the end point and set the starting point. I think we need to set the trajectory in the intermediary, at intermediary points. I think this will provide far greater visibility out to developers, out to manufacturers, out to the ecosystem, to EPC contractors. And I think that visibility will contribute significantly to the development of the ecosystem. Okay, with that I'll end. Thank you very much.